You have gifts inside you right now, real talent. But here's what nobody tells you. Talent has an expiration date. Every day you don't use your abilities, they fade a little. Like a muscle that never gets exercised, your gifts atrophy. They shrink. They disappear. The graveyard is full of brilliant people who never acted on their potential. Writers who never wrote. Inventors who never built. Leaders who never led. In the next few minutes, you'll discover why talent alone means nothing, and how to activate your gifts before they vanish forever. This isn't motivation. This is the brutal truth about how ability actually works. Most people believe talent is enough. They think being naturally good at something guarantees success. Wrong. Talent is like having money in a foreign currency. It's worthless until you exchange it for something real. And that exchange rate? It's called action. Here's what research shows. The correlation between talent and achievement is surprisingly weak. Studies of gifted children reveal that most don't become exceptional adults. Meanwhile, people with average abilities often surpass them. Why? Because talent creates a dangerous comfort zone. I'm naturally good at this, so I don't need to work hard. That mindset is poison. It's the difference between potential and performance. Think about raw talent as crude oil sitting underground. It has potential energy, sure, but until someone drills, refines, and transforms it, it's just potential. And potential doesn't power cars. Refined action does. Your brain doesn't care how talented you are. It responds to one thing: consistent use. Neuroscience calls this activity-dependent plasticity. The pathways you use grow stronger. The ones you ignore decay. This means your unused talents are literally deteriorating at the cellular level right now. Every musician knows this truth. Miss practice for a day, you notice. Miss for a week, your teacher notices. Miss for a month, everyone notices. Talent without maintenance becomes memory. Here's the uncomfortable reality. Your talents are on a timer. Scientists studying skill retention discovered something alarming. Without practice, complex abilities decline rapidly. Within weeks, sharp skills become dull. Within months, they can disappear almost entirely. It's called the forgetting curve, but it's really the atrophy curve. Your brain is brutally efficient. It doesn't maintain neural pathways you're not using. Why would it? That takes energy, resources. If you're not sending signals through those connections, your brain assumes they're unnecessary and prunes them away. I used to be really good at that. That sentence is everywhere. Former athletes who can't climb stairs, former artists who can't sketch a basic shape, former speakers who freeze in front of crowds. They didn't lose their talent to time, they lost it to inaction. But here's what makes this tragic. They probably spent years developing those abilities, hundreds or thousands of hours building skills. Then they stopped using them and watched that investment evaporate. Think of it like physical fitness. You can't build muscle and then store it forever. Stop training, and your body begins breaking down that muscle tissue within days. Your nervous system is the same way. The decay isn't linear either. The better you were, the faster you deteriorate at the highest levels. Elite performers know this. They don't take breaks. They can't afford to. But there's something even more insidious than skill decay: identity decay. When you stop using your gifts, you don't just lose ability. You lose part of yourself, that writer inside you. If you never write, that part of your identity withers. Eventually, you can't even remember what it felt like to be creative. There's a space between knowing you're talented and actually doing something with it. That space destroys more potential than any other force in human performance. It's called the action gap. Most people live in this gap their entire lives. They recognize their abilities. They understand they should use them. They might even plan to use them someday. But someday never comes. Here's why. Action creates discomfort. Your talent exists in imagination, where it's perfect. But the moment you act on it, you face reality. Mistakes, criticism, failure. So people stay in the gap, where their talent remains pristine and unused. I could be great if I really tried. That's the mantra of wasted potential. It's a psychological safety blanket. As long as you don't really try, you never have to face the possibility that you're not as talented as you think. But here's the paradox. You'll never know how talented you truly are until you act. Talent only reveals itself through application. Think about this differently. You wouldn't judge a knife's sharpness without cutting something. You wouldn't evaluate a car's speed without driving it. So why do people judge their own abilities without testing them in reality? The action gap exists because we confuse thinking with doing. We rehearse conversations but never have them. We plan projects but never start them. We imagine outcomes but never create them. Your brain can't distinguish between vividly imagining something and actually doing it in terms of satisfaction. So you get the emotional payoff without taking the risk. It's a neurological trap. Breaking this pattern requires understanding a critical truth. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. Your talents grow stronger through use or weaker through neglect. There's no middle ground, no maintenance mode. You're either sharpening or dulling. This is the use it principle. Every time you engage your talent, you're sending your brain a message. This matters. Keep this pathway strong. Make it stronger. Every time you ignore your talent, you're sending a different message. This doesn't matter. Conserve resources elsewhere. Your brain listens to action, not intention. Here's what most people get wrong. They think they need big blocks of time to use their talents. They wait for perfect conditions, the right moment, enough time to do it properly. Meanwhile, their abilities fade. Small, frequent actions beat rare, perfect actions every time. 10 minutes daily builds more than 1 hour weekly. Not because of total time, but because of signal frequency. You're training your brain to prioritize that skill, making it a permanent resident, not a temporary guest. Think about language learning. Someone who practices 15 minutes every day will surpass someone who practices 3 hours once a week. Same total time, radically different results. Why? Because the daily practitioner is constantly refreshing the neural pathways, preventing decay. Your talents work the same way. I don't have time to use my gifts. Translation: I haven't made it a priority. Everyone has the same 24 hours. The difference is what they protect, what they defend, what they refuse to sacrifice. If your talent matters, you'll find minutes. If it doesn't, you'll find excuses. Here's a powerful reframe. Using your talents isn't separate from your life. It is your life. When you express your abilities, you're being most fully yourself. That's not time spent. That's time lived. Small actions on your talents create exponential results over time. This is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary things. It's the compound effect applied to ability. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. They try to make dramatic leaps, fail, and quit. They never experience what happens when you consistently act on your gifts. Here's what happens. Micro improvements multiply. Getting 1% better daily means you're 37 times better after a year. Not 365% better, 37 times better. That's the mathematics of compounding. But it requires two things: consistency and patience. Every expert you admire built their mastery through repetition. Thousands of small actions stacked over years. They didn't wake up talented, they woke up committed. They're just naturally gifted. That's what people say about anyone who's mastered something. It's a comfortable lie. It protects you from confronting your own inaction. The truth is less comfortable. They did the work, daily, for years, while others made excuses. Think about your talent as a bank account. Every action is a deposit. Compound interest is growth. But you can't make deposits once and expect returns forever. You need consistent deposits. Most people make a few deposits, see limited returns, and close the account. They never stay invested long enough to experience compounding. The breakthrough moment everyone wants? It's not a moment. It's the result of accumulated effort becoming visible. Like water reaching 100 degrees. Nothing happens at 99. Everything happens at 100. But you needed all 99 degrees to get there. Your talents work the same way. Most of your progress is invisible. You're building structure, foundation, capability. Then suddenly, everything clicks. But only if you didn't quit at degree 85. Your environment either activates your talents or suffocates them. There's no neutral ground. Look around you right now. Does your physical space support your gifts, or does it make using them harder? The writer surrounded by distractions never writes. The athlete without equipment never trains. The musician without an instrument never plays. The environment isn't just physical space. It's the people around you. Are you surrounded by people who celebrate your talents? Or people who diminish them? People who encourage action? Or people who enable your excuses? You're being unrealistic. That's not practical. Maybe focus on something more stable. Those sentences kill more dreams than failure ever could. They're spoken by people who stopped using their own gifts and resent seeing you use yours. Here's a harsh truth. You become the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. If those 5 people aren't using their talents, you probably won't use yours. But flip this dynamic, and it becomes powerful. Surround yourself with people actively developing their abilities, and you'll feel pressure to develop yours. Positive peer pressure is real. Your environment also includes your systems and structures. Do you have routines that make using your talents automatic? Or do you rely on motivation? Motivation is unreliable. Systems are consistent. The person who waits to feel motivated to write produces nothing. The person who writes every morning at 6, whether they feel like it or not, produces books. Design your environment to make action easy and inaction hard. Put your guitar where you see it. Keep your running shoes by the door. Make the first step of using your talents so simple you'd feel silly not doing it. Remove friction from good actions. Add friction to bad ones. Using your talents without feedback is like driving with your eyes closed. You're moving, but you have no idea if you're heading the right direction. Feedback is how you convert activity into improvement. Most people avoid feedback because it exposes gaps between their self-perception and reality. They want to believe they're better than they are. Feedback shatters that illusion. But here's what they miss. Feedback is the fastest path to excellence. It's the difference between practice and deliberate practice. Practice is repetition. Deliberate practice is repetition. With correction, one maintains ability, the other multiplies it. Think about how children learn to walk. They fall. That's immediate feedback. They adjust. They try again. Fall. Adjust. Try. No shame, no hesitation. Pure feedback integration. Then we become adults and develop feedback phobia. We take criticism personally. We defend our methods instead of examining them. We avoid situations where our performance can be evaluated. I don't need feedback. I know what I'm doing. That sentence signals the end of growth. The moment you stop seeking feedback is the moment your talents plateau. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You can't see your own blind spots. You need external perspectives to identify where you're weak, inefficient, or wrong. The best performers actively hunt for feedback. They don't wait for it. They request it. They pay for it. They create systems to get it automatically. Your talent multiplied by feedback creates exponential growth. Your talent without feedback creates stagnation. But not all feedback is equal. You need specific, actionable input from people who actually know what good looks like in your domain. Random opinions from unqualified people are noise, not signal. Build a feedback system. Mentors who've mastered what you're learning. Peers who are slightly ahead of you. Metrics that track your performance objectively. Then do the hardest part. Actually implement what you learn. Most people collect feedback and ignore it. They wanted validation, not correction. Real growth happens when feedback makes you uncomfortable and you act on it anyway. Every time you move toward using your talents, you'll encounter resistance. It's not external, it's internal. Stephen Pressfield called it resistance with a capital R. It's the force inside you that stops you from doing your most important work. Resistance appears as procrastination, distraction, self-doubt, fear. It wears many masks, but it has one goal: keep you from expressing your gifts. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm not ready yet. What if I fail? What if I succeed? These are resistance talking. And here's the critical insight. Resistance is strongest right before you're about to do something meaningful. The more important the action, the fiercer the resistance. Starting that business, maximum resistance. Making that call, maximum resistance. Creating that work, maximum resistance. Scrolling through your phone, zero resistance. That imbalance tells you everything. Resistance protects your comfort zone. It keeps you safe, small, and unfulfilled. But here's what most people don't understand. Resistance never goes away. You don't overcome it once. You face it every single time. Professional writers still feel resistance before writing. Elite athletes still feel it before training. Experienced speakers still feel it before presenting. The difference? They act anyway. They've learned that resistance is a signal, not a stop sign. It marks the path toward growth. If you feel resistance, you're going the right direction. Amateur mindset, I'll act when I feel ready. Professional mindset, I feel resistance, which means this matters. Time to begin. Think about resistance as a gatekeeper. It stands between current you and elevated you. Everyone faces the same gatekeeper. Most people turn around. Some people negotiate. Professionals walk straight through. The only way past resistance is action. Not perfect action, not confident action, just action. Your talents are on the other side of that gate. Every day you don't push through, they fade a little more. What happens to your unused talents when you die? They die with you, completely, forever. That song you never wrote? Gone. That business you never started? Gone. That book you never finished? Gone. That impact you never made? Gone. Nobody else can use your specific combination of abilities, your unique perspective, your particular voice. When you don't act on your gifts, you rob the world of something irreplaceable. Someone else will do it. Maybe, but they'll do it their way, not yours. And the world needs both. Think about all the music that was never created because talented people convinced themselves their songs didn't matter. All the businesses that were never built. All the problems that were never solved. Your unused talents don't just affect you. They affect everyone who could have benefited from them. Here's the question that cuts through all excuses. What do you want people to say about you after you're gone? They had so much potential. Or they used everything they had. One sentence describes tragedy. The other describes a life fully lived. You don't need to be famous. You don't need to be the best. You just need to be expressed. To take what's inside you and make it real. That painting doesn't need to hang in a museum. It needs to exist. That song doesn't need to go platinum. It needs to be heard. That business doesn't need to be a unicorn. It needs to serve someone. Most people die with their gifts intact, unused, preserved in the tomb of what if. They protected their talents so carefully that nobody ever benefited from them, including themselves. Your talents aren't meant to be protected. They're meant to be spent, used up, exhausted in service of something meaningful. What would change if you knew you only had 1 year to use your gifts? Would you wait for perfect conditions? Would you worry about criticism? Or would you finally begin? Everything we've discussed means nothing without one thing: starting. Not preparing to start, not planning to start, not thinking about starting, actually starting. Here's the truth. You're not going to feel ready. The conditions won't be perfect. You'll have doubts. Start anyway. Your talent doesn't need perfect conditions. It needs permission. Your permission. The moment you take the first action, no matter how small, you've crossed the threshold. You've moved from potential to kinetic, from talking to doing, from someday to today. I'll start when I have more time. Time doesn't appear. You make it. I'll start when I'm better prepared. Preparation without action is just procrastination in disguise. I'll start when I feel confident. Confidence comes from action, not before it. Every expert started as a beginner. Every master started with messy first attempts. The only difference between them and people with unused talents, they started. Your first attempts will be rough. Good. That means you're moving. Rough drafts beat blank pages. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction. Here's your starting formula. Pick one talent, Choose one small action. Do it today. Not this week, not when you're ready. Today. 5 minutes of using your gift is infinitely more valuable than 5 hours of thinking about using it. Start before you're ready. Start before you're confident. Start before you have all the answers. Because waiting for ideal conditions is how talents die. Your talents are living things. Feed them with action, and they grow. Starve them with inaction, and they die. Right now, you have gifts that could change someone's life, maybe many lives. Those gifts are counting on you, not someday you, today you. The graveyard doesn't need more potential. The world needs more action. Your talents don't care about your fears. They don't care about your doubts. They only care about one thing. Will you use them or waste them? This is your moment. Not when conditions improve. Not when you feel ready. Now. Because talent without action isn't potential. It's tragedy. Take one action today. Use one gift. Start one thing. Your future self is watching. Make them proud. The clock is ticking. Your talents are either growing or dying. There's no pause button, no save point, no second life. What you do next matters. What you do today matters. What you do now matters. Your gifts are waiting. Stop making them wait. Begin.